the Downtown Business Club, hosted by the Downtown Improvement District.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Downtown Business Club. This is hosted monthly by the Downtown Improvement District, and today we are looking into the whole concept of businesses downtown. I happen to know that there are several businesses downtown with what we do at the Downtown Improvement District, helping create a vibrant urban core for Northeast Indiana is our mission, and that does not happen without people in the ecosystem adding value, and so many times through the business endeavors of folks, that's really the way it takes place. We do events, we have all these various opportunities to engage the community. So today we are focusing on three individuals, three businesses that have been successful in downtown Fort Wayne. We intend to broaden this over the next months so we can continue to tell the story. And today is really kind of designed to be a conversation about what it takes to be successful in downtown, what are some of the business opportunities that folks have embraced, because many times it's not a straight line, it's not a path that just goes from point A to point B. So we hope to hear today about the various opportunities that folks have embraced, and we'd like to start off with a brief presentation by the three businesses here, Jaw Juice with Julia Holler, Danny Mcguire with Prana Yoga, aka 1301 Connect is another element, and then Matt Kelly with One Lucky Guitar and The Good Ones. So we'll start with Julia, and she can tell us about her experience and her business in downtown Fort Wayne for starters.
All right, so thank you guys for coming. I'm honored to be here. It's interesting because all of our businesses are in the same building, which is kind of fun for us to get to hang out today. And I'm one of the owners of Jaw Juice, and we opened in October of this past year, 2014. But our idea started in 2013. It took an entire year for it to manifest into an actual business. So that was something I was not expecting going into it, and kind of what got us started. Oh, maybe I should tell. We are a juice bar, so in case you guys don't know, maybe I should preface that. We do organic cold-pressed juices. We bottle them. And we also do superfood smoothies, coffee, tea, and we do some muffins and little things like that. So that's kind of what our business does. And it's very small. We don't have a huge menu. But we wanted to provide access to health through these juices. So our main focus is the cold-pressed juice. And that kind of how we got the idea. Danny actually owns part of it. So she kind of ignited the spark for this, which she's very good at doing. And in 2013, we actually had to move Prana Yoga to a different building because of all the construction with the Randall Lofts. And when we moved, we saw there was a perfect space right next door for a little juice bar for our students. We were thinking this could be really cool. There isn't a juice bar in Fort Wayne, and nobody's bottling juices, so you can just go in and grab one and go. So we then end up going to Detroit to check out some juice bars up there, and we checked out 3 different businesses. One was doing a lot of raw foods and had juices. Another place was just bottling juices and shipping them. And then another place was kind of like a little cafe that did salads and other stuff. So we kind of checked out 3 different businesses and kind of decided what we liked from each one and kind of pulled together our own thing. That's kind of where it started. And Danny's been into juicing for a really long time. And that summer, before we decided to go into it, I started juicing, and I was doing it at home. I was buying all this produce, and I was cleaning my juicer every morning, and I was like, this is not worth it. So I need to figure out some way I can get my own juices without having to do all the work. However, I'm still doing a lot of the work. So maybe next year I won't be doing as much, and I'll just be going in and grabbing a bottle and then leaving. But so that was kind of the start of the business. I would say a lot of our ideas come from other businesses. So if I'm like, oh, I want to do a superfood smoothie with this superfood, I kind of can look online and see what other recipes are out there or what other businesses are doing. Or if I went on a trip and I tried something that was awesome, then I can kind of take it back and work with the ingredients or the elements and see what works for our juice bar and what we have. We try to use a lot of the stuff that we're already getting, so that way we're not ordering like, you know, a certain type of produce just for one item. We kind of like to spread it around because that helps us with our costs as a new business. And then our customers provide a lot of insight of what they want to see. Like, hey, we really like this juice, but I need a juice that doesn't have sugar. Touch this. Okay, it didn't show up. Okay, good. I need a juice that doesn't have sugar in it, so could you do something without apple? And so based on what people want, you kind of go from there. And we can't always be like, oh yeah, we can do that tomorrow. We kind of take that into consideration and then kind of develop things from there. So that is part of what works for us and kind of with new ideas. Some of the pitfalls was we were hoping to be open probably spring of 2014, and we didn't get open until October. So the construction was a huge process, something I was not prepared for at all, and I was not prepared to have to check in with the people doing the construction, be like, why is it taking so long? Why is this taking so, like, literally constantly, why aren't you doing this? Where are you? Like, I'm not that person who like rides people. I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, you'll get it done. But I had to become that person, and that was not fun. So if you're doing any type of construction, just give yourself an extra year and you'll be good. Then you'll be good. You'll be on your timeline. You'll be on track. So that was a little bit discouraging. So just sticking with it really helped out. And finally, once the day came, we were open. It was awesome because I was like, oh my God, it's finally here. So that was kind of part of the pitfall, I would say. Another thing for us is that our juices only last 3 days. So it's been very hard to find that balance of making too much so it goes bad, making too little so we're running out. So kind of trying to figure out how much works for us so we aren't wasting produce and going through a lot of our products. And that's something with having a restaurant type business, I believe, is very hard. But we kind of worked around it. We've kind of finally found our groove with making the juices and kind of how much we need each day. And it's still kind of changing because we've only been open for a little bit, so we're starting to grow more, so we've been increasing. But that's kind of a area that we're still working, and that'll probably continue to change as we continue to grow and evolve as well. Let's see. Let me change my slide. Okay. So part of what we offer are juice cleanses, which you can do a juice cleanse. And people are, why would I do a juice cleanse? So with this juicing in Fort Wayne, there's a lot of education for people, which I wasn't really thinking about at the time, but a lot of people don't know about juicing at all. And if they're coming in, we kind of have to explain, what's in the juice, why would you do it, all the benefits, and then also with cleansing. So we have a 1-day cleanse and a 3-day cleanse, and they can be very good to let your body rest and just absorb nutrients as opposed to working to digest. So we offer that, and we offer the juices, which is our main focus. But then I didn't want to just do juice. I wanted to be a little bit more accessible. So we have a couple smoothies, which people seem to really like too. It's a little bit more hearty instead of just having the juice. So if you're looking for something to get you through, a smoothie would be better. It'll stay longer with you because you're digesting it. So we decided to do that. And we also decided to do coffee and tea as well because people like coffee. It might not be the healthiest thing depending on what you put in it, but it's still something that people like. So I was like, well, what's going to help our bottom line? We want to have the juices, obviously, but we're in Fort Wayne, so who knows how well it'll go over. So then we decided to add the smoothies and coffee and tea, especially because it's so cold here. And we get our coffee from Utopian Coffee, so I'm really excited that we're offering that since it's roasted in Fort Wayne. And I think that's definitely helped us, is having that local coffee that people know and like. And so we're working with another downtown business, which helps us because they help promote us, we help promote them. So that is kind of a nice thing. And then we're also working with other farmers around here who are local, for some of our produce. And now they can't obviously provide us with everything because of the seasons, but in the spring we'll be able to get a lot more of our stuff from local farmers like Get Fresh Farms and the Young Urban Homesteaders. And we've just been partnering with different people, which is, again, nice for them and nice for us because we're cross-promoting. So yeah, and then a big part of my business are my employees, because they are awesome and they get really excited and they do really well on social media. And so it's not just me saying the same things over and over again, like the same promotions coming from my brain. I get other people involved, and I think sometimes people are scared to let other people get involved with their social media, but I would just say, like, go for it. You can always take your post down or edit it, and just make sure you have guidelines of like what you want to see, what you don't want to see. And like this was one of our biggest posts because like they look like they're having fun at work and they're showing our juices, and you know, somebody else posted it, not just myself. So I would definitely say like having employees is one of the best things that I did, because I could be working at the juice bar all alone and then I would want to kill someone, but like I wanted to hire people who have different ideas and who can talk to me about things like, this doesn't work, or you know, this person said this, or you know, this might be a really great idea. It really helps with our procedures and then with being creative. So I would definitely say having a team is something I would suggest instead of just your own self, or at least have a couple people, if they aren't working for you, who you're like bouncing ideas off of, or you know, checking with, or kind of a mentor. Like Danny's owned a couple businesses and she has really been my mentor through all of this, as well as my business partner. Just kind of like what works and what doesn't. And I would also suggest not trying to do everything yourself. Like at the start I was like, oh yeah, I can do my own payroll, I can take pictures, I can do all this stuff. And then as I got into it, I was like, well, maybe I should hire somebody to do the payroll. Or, you know, one of my employees takes awesome photos. She's a photographer. So I probably should enlist her to do the pictures, because I could do them, but then I'd be doing everything. And then I would start to lose my passion for it and just kind of get really run down and tired. So, yeah, I would say having a good team is definitely one of the best things I could suggest to do. And then one of the businesses that I admire a lot is, I really admire like Bravis, because he started with a hot dog truck and then got, or a cart and got a food truck. Now he has a restaurant. Like that's an awesome way to do it. He started small and just kind of did it really well, and then grew and did that really well and then grew. And I would say like definitely taking time to like do what you're doing well, and then maybe add something in, and then maybe see if it's working, and then, you know, let it mature and gestate, and then maybe expand a little bit more. I wouldn't try to go like crazy all at once, because you're gonna be overwhelmed and you're probably not gonna end up doing anything good. So I just say like focusing in on what you're doing well and then kind of expanding from there would be my advice. So yeah, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. And there'll be more to come, I'm sure, with questions that folks will want to ask. Danny Mcguire with Prana Yoga will come up next, and 1301 Connect, and perhaps she can also talk a little bit about the concept of 1301 Connect and building community with downtown businesses.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, thank you. Hi, thanks for having us today. I'm Danny Mcguire. I'm the founder of Prana Yoga Institute of Health and Holistic Healing. And we've been in business since 2009, but I did start downtown as a little interior design consultant. So we started off in the 218 Pearl Street of Randall Lofts building, probably back in 2006. As an interior designer, and I was always drawn to the downtown, just to hold the business here. I was feeling that potential of the downtown growing, and so I wanted to get in before that happened, when rents were a little bit lower, and it was always my children that ignited my spark for my businesses, because I worked for Ethan Allen for many years as a project manager in the interior design field. And then I had a baby, and while I was at home in that kind of introspective state, then something else was calling me. And so I thought, oh, I really want to do something on my own. And so I started branching off on my own to hold a little interior design business. And that was great. And it gave me more time to practice yoga, which I loved and been practicing since I was 19, so for almost 20 years now. And eventually the yoga just took over the interior design. I eventually just didn't want to do that. I just wanted to practice yoga all the time and teach people about wellness, something I'd been talking about since I was 16. So then I had my second child, who is 6 years old now, turning 6 this month. And while I was at home with her, she was 8 months old, and I thought, I have to go open my own yoga studio. And so immediately started looking at places, and we didn't have a lot of capital to do it at the time. And my husband walked into a space and he was like, this is it, this is perfect. And he was my biggest naysayer, so I knew that something was about to happen. So again, it was just a really small space, and I was gonna do everything myself, from checking in students to teaching all the classes on the schedule. And little did I know that like within 6 months later, we would open up a second location. You know, Julia mentioned starting small, and mine was like, went crazy immediately. So for me, it was about finding the support that I needed to make it sustainable, because it just kept growing too fast. And that's how it's been through the beginning. So we started out with just yoga classes, and then I got some teachers to teach, and then I hired a manager. 6 months later, we were opening a second location, and it just kept growing from there. One of our biggest pitfalls that we've had is to be moved around a lot. So in the downtown, with all the movement and the exciting energy that's happening down here, there's also a lot of shifts in moving. So we went through 4 different landlords in 5 years, and we had to move spaces. And we kept moving to bigger and bigger venues, I would say, or studios and centers. And so I kept thinking, how are we going to do this now? Now we can, you know, try to hold more classes. And so, you know, it's like that saying, if you build it, they will come. So each time that we moved into a bigger space, then our business doubled as well. And we got a lot more students. And we increased our services too. So we hold yoga classes, teacher trainings, we do wellness coaching, lifestyle coaching, and it's really a community of wellness, which has been challenging in Fort Wayne. We've been on a couple bad lists, and I won't say what they are, but for our health, and so it's hard because it's not something that's been invested in here. So one of the pitfalls too is, how do I price our services where they're really supposed to be, with the value that we're offering. So I wanted something that was a good value, but also something that was going to appeal to people. So I get a lot of my trainings in California, and the cost of living, like housing there, is way more expensive, but the meals there are about the same price. You go to a yoga studio and it's probably 3 times more than what it is here, or even a gym membership. So it's that people just weren't investing in that lifestyle of wellness. And so part of me just wanted to price things really low so that we could, you know, be where the competition was. And then, but then I wasn't treating my staff right. I wasn't treating the teachers right, because I wasn't able to pay them what they deserved for their time. So we started looking at just where we needed to be. And I think by doing that, now people are committed, and it's like when they do sign up for a membership, then they come. So we've seen really great success because they aren't just spending $29 a month on a membership where they could be like, well, if I don't go, it doesn't matter. Like, they're investing in themselves, and they're investing in our community. And so they do come, and they come every day. And we've become a family there, and we've seen great changes in health just from practicing yoga, which seems like stretching to a lot of us, but it's really a whole lifestyle of mindfulness and movement, and you really start to focus on your relationships outside of the classroom too. So that's one thing we've really done well, is to build this community. And I heard Matt say family, the OLG family, when we sat down. And then Julia said team, and I've always been stressing community. And that's one thing that our yoga center really has brought about. Another one of our pitfalls is we had a fire one time. And so we thought the studio was burning down. And one of my students, we were in the middle of a yoga class, and we all had to leave the building. And I thought, there goes the business I've worked so hard for. And she said, why don't we just have the yoga class in the parking lot? And I thought, what? No, just let me be sorry for myself right now that my studio and everything I've worked so hard for is burning to the ground. And she's like, that's not what you teach us. So we actually went in the parking lot and held a yoga class. And that's when I was like, oh, we need more of this community. This is awesome. It doesn't matter about the space or that we've been moved around. It's the family and the community that always goes with it. And so when we moved to our most recent location at 1301 Lafayette, I thought, now there's all these really cool businesses and there's more room and potential here. So, bringing in like-minded people and businesses to grow that community even more. That's why I love being part of downtown too. So, we also have, oh, the arrows, okay. So we also have the foundation. And this is the nonprofit portion of our business. And this offers free yoga to people with cancer and chronic illness. Now this has taken a little more time to get off the ground, but we're doing good work. We offer free classes in our downtown location. They're chair-based classes, so people going through chemotherapy, radiation, they can come there and take a class for free. And it's very gentle, not like some of our other classes. And then we also had some interest with Cancer Services of Northeast Indiana. And then since they're being looked at by some other places in Indiana, we've got our programs now in Ezekiel Hospital in Indianapolis, as well as the Little Red Door Cancer Agency. So it's like something that grows. There's so much potential, like being in the downtown, and to have it be affordable and to start to build community here. But then there's potential for that global community to arise as well. And then our Teacher Training Institute is the one at the downtown location. And again, it's about really offering the life skills and teaching the teachers that our global community looks to us for. So we have a lot of students come in from Chicago that come to our teacher trainings that they've just started to hear about in the yoga world, about how good our teachers come out of those programs with this kind of holistic approach to teaching. And then part of it is just the workshops too. So this is one of our workshops that we have. We do a lot of free classes and fundraisers for the community to spread awareness. And we have a gentleman coming in that started Power Yoga. He's coming in tonight to teach for us. And I love bringing them to other downtown businesses because I'm super proud of what we have to offer. We have amazing restaurants downtown, and we have great events here all the time. And so I love showing off our downtown. And people really love coming to Fort Wayne from California and New York because there is that kind of family feel and everybody feels really comfortable here. So I admire all the downtown businesses. I do admire the ones that start out slow and then grow because that's not something that I've been experienced to. It's like always igniting around me, and then I have to go back and dismantle it and be like, how can I make this sustainable? So when you have that much creative energy around you, and it spawns off to other people too sometimes, then it's like going back and getting things in writing, making sure that you have clear communication is a really key component of that. So clear expectations on all the parts, and making things sustainable in a way that you need to, ask for help. Make those connections in the community where you can work together, where you can come together to create a really amazing event. We got to be part of Science Central's fundraiser last weekend, and that was really fun. They did a great job with their promoting and that awareness that they're bringing to the community. It was just fun to see a bunch of adults there playing someplace that I bring my kids. So we need more of those things. And while we were there, I had a kind of underground comedian slip his card to me. And I love that. Like, you go there to network, and I love it when people ask for something, because that's something that I didn't do the first 5 years that I was downtown, is ask for help. I was just trying to do it all by myself. And then Stephen came in and met with him one day, and he was like, we're here for you, we're here to support you. So definitely reaching out and asking other businesses to help, ask the DID to help, look for grants. I recommend, if you can find a great building, now's the time to snatch that up and renovate it. There's a lot of great grants out there for helping entrepreneurs do that if you're looking forward to starting a business. And then you might not have to go through all the moves to get to the place that you want to be at. I think if I was conducting the interview, I would want to know what makes a good leader. And this is true just about all entrepreneurs, is to listen. And that's one of the best things that, in my field is just about listening. And so I don't like getting up here and talking that much, but being able to listen to your employees to see what they want, listen to your customers, and listen, have some quiet time for yourself so you know that next step. So that maybe it's not you trying to fit this ideal business into a certain box, but just tuning in and listening to maybe just changing some of your values. So maybe your values of success will look differently. Maybe as you're starting to look at your business plan, it's not about the money, but it's about doing something sustainable and with someone that feels like family and that you get up every day and you're excited to do it. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny. I just get inspired listening to these stories, and I think the next one here with these are two great stories, and I think with Matt Kelly with One Lucky Guitar and his endeavors will be another good opportunity to learn more. So thank you, Matt.
So really flattered to be here, especially to be with Julia and Danny. So thanks to the DID for inviting us. I'll buzz through a couple slides. So this has been our home. 1301 Lafayette's been the home for One Lucky Guitar. We're a design and marketing boutique. We started at the end of 2000. In September of 2004, I moved in that building. I was working out of half of a duplex on Columbia Avenue where I lived. So I think that's a quadplex at that point. I started developing my own clients they thought they were working with a real ad agency and would want to have meetings. And I would always, I would be like, well, I just happened to be at the Firefly, so can we just meet there? And didn't let on that I was working out of my home, out of my kitchen, in fact. So moving into 1301 Lafayette, for me, it was instant credibility for OLG. We became part of downtown. We had a space then that helped us define our identity. It's been a wonderful home for more than a decade now. So I started, it was just me in a 200 square foot space. Now we have over 3,000 square feet. There are 11 of us that work there. We were kind of asked, why are we downtown? This is a big part of why we're downtown, because we want to be able to bike to lunch. Some of us bike to work. For me, part of growing OLG was I wanted to have a team that was kind of exceptional at every level, and part of the recruitment of people to One Lucky Guitar is it's very important that we're doing work we believe in for people we believe in, but we wanted to have an environment and a culture that people could be energized by. And for us, that was downtown, right? I worked before when I started my career, I worked off Cook Road, and I felt like I was in another world. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't feel like I was part of the scene. We have peers who work, other agencies that are out by the airport or this or that, and it feels, I would struggle with that. I would struggle kind of making that drive every day or making that ride. I could drop a few pounds to ride all the way out there. So downtown has been intrinsic to us. It's intrinsic to OLG's identity. The other thing that's been really important to us is to be able to be part of being here for a decade now. Like, we feel like we can play a part in downtown's revitalization and energy. There are many opportunities for all of us to get involved in a lot of different ways, formal and informal. Here's the team, the family. Family grew by one. We've got young Arlo back there with Olivia right now, the youngest member. So we've grown. There are a lot of Fort Wayne folks here. The gentleman in the upper right probably traveled the longest to be here. He's from Wollongong, New South Wales, which is about an hour outside Sydney. Folks here, some of these folks moved away, came back. But I look at this team and I think it's a team of flight risks, right? They could all be off in Chicago, on a coast, up to Minneapolis to a design hotbed. And to get them to stay here, again, I have to create an environment where they are challenged and energized. And downtown has been a big part of that for us. Our space is something, like I said, our space helped define the character of our company, and I think that you can find that downtown. We're not a strip mall ad agency. We have clients who request to meet at our place, which is really unique and says something to the space that we all get to share in the community that Bill and Danny have created there. The kind of work we do, it ranges from, we don't have any single niche. We kind of have one client per industry, and so we serve a lot of different industries. We're naturally a curious team that wants to learn new things, no interest at all in being set in our ways. I brought the work that we did to when the Alliance, the Chamber, and Leadership Fort Wayne merged into one entity. It was Greater Fort Wayne Inc. So we worked with them on everything from the name to the initial identity to the pieces that went out to kind of create a new investor network. I mentioned being involved in the community. We have worked with the DID on block parties, musical events in the past. We got involved with the embassy in 2007. It was their 85th anniversary, and they said, hey, we want to do 2 fundraising shows for our anniversary. One's going to be a high dollar, $85 ticket, black tie, Martin shorts coming in, but we want something that's going to get young people in. Can you guys help us? And we pitched an idea called Down the Line. They took a real chance on that. General admission, you could take your beer to the seat. Nobody did that, right? And 1,800 people the first year, 2,100 the second, 2,400, which is the sellout for the third and fourth year. And then we felt like the embassy could kind of handle it on their own. We've stepped back, and I think it's down the line 9 this year. But we did a lot of that where we were kind of actively involved in things that were going on in the community. The last time we expanded within our space, we thought, what can we do here? Some of those things, like 2,400 people, I really want to be a recluse, and I thought there's too many people, so can we do smaller things? So we have a space within our office that it's kind of, it can be a number of things. It can be a gallery, it can be a large conference room, it can be a place we have photo shoots, but we decided to name it the B-side, and it's really another side of what we do at One Lucky Guitar. And often what we have in there, about once a month, we'll have a concert or event of some sort, and those will be musicians or artists that we've worked with or really admire that we bring in and do these kind of super intimate shows. It's like 50 people, we don't even have a speaker, you hear the sound of Lafayette Street. It's an environment unlike any other. But we've also made that space available to folks who need a space like that, who are doing something really cool and unique in the community. So in the lower right, you see that was actually a rehearsal, but Dance Contemporary, which is kind of a new startup contemporary dance group, they need a space where they can perform for 50 people. And we're like, take it. You know, we give them the keys, and they had an incredible event there, and we've had several events like that. There's what it looks like when we've got 50 folks in it. That's Raylan Baxter, who is performing there on Monday night. Again, this February 23rd. We got a couple tickets left, and he's absolutely incredible. I think the panel was downtown entrepreneurship. I feel like OLG's kind of been around long enough where I don't know that I always feel super entrepreneurial about it, but we do have a startup that exists within our walls too, and it's the Good Ones Clothing. So in 2004, we started working with Denise DeMarcus, who founded Matilda Jane Clothing. We've been their agency since then. And 3 years ago, she's had a demand forever for there to be a boys' side of Matilda Jane, or the boys' version of Matilda Jane. She never felt like she could do it herself. Her sense of style, she felt like she needed another angle at it. And so together we formed the Good Ones, which makes clothing for kids from 12 months to 12 years old. I don't know what camera's on, but it's available at thegoodones.com. And so that's been incredibly exciting for us. Denise is a spirited entrepreneur and endlessly inspirational. She was right behind us in the same Quad, and George is back there with Baldus. Like there's a real kind of vital thing happening over on that side of town. And it's been a place where we've got to be super creative and roll up our sleeves and feel like that real startup, that scrappy startup energy again, which has been really exciting. We can get to you guys' questions. I'll hit a couple that they sent around to us. How do you generate new ideas? For us in design and marketing, it's everywhere, right? And so there are so many blogs and publications that we can be inspired or challenged by or seek to do work that's that good, and we all look at that kind of stuff every day. I will say, like, personally also, it's always I've drawn inspiration from music and musicians. I started college as a math major, and I remember one of my roommates had a CD-ROM of encyclopedia. This is like before the internet. And you could put in it, and he had the Microsoft had a quotations disc as part of this CD-ROM, and so you put it in and it would have just various like there's whole websites about this now. But I was scrolling through it and I knew Bob Dylan, but I didn't really and there was a Dylan quote, and it was he not busy being born is busy dying. And I'm sitting there and I'm a math major, and I thought, I'm busy dying right now. And I changed my major to fine arts and worked my way to commercial art, and that is on our wall at the office right now. And I think in another, I just even like thinking about doing this because I'm super uncomfortable being up here and the cameras make it worse, but like you can find inspiration I would challenge you, like, look everywhere for it. And I listened to ESPN radio, and Derrick Rose said you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and like I held on to that, I don't watch any sports. I just listen to people talk about it and feel really good about that. But like that kind of thing, like that's been something that's why Bill calls, I say, yeah, I'm going to be horribly uncomfortable doing that, Bill, yes. And that's part of, I think, what's defined OLG. Just, we were asked excluding, or what company business do you admire? And it's convenient because they're here, but I think that Fort Wayne Outfitters, Bike Depot, Tim and Kara Hall are here. Like, I admire businesses where they're first in, right? All this talk of riverfront development, they've been there, and it takes real courage to be first in. And the other thing that's really, I think, exciting about their business, and that if you're feeling entrepreneurial and considering something like this, it's really, really, really difficult almost all the time. And it's not easy being your own boss, so you should find something that you can be like truly passionate about, because your passion will drive you and carry you through those really difficult times. And I think that's true at Outfitters. And I also think if like you've never been to Outfitters and you think, well, I don't kayak or mountain bike, there's a whole other side of it that's awesome, and it's the apparel, and like my jacket and my pants came from Outfitters.
My jacket.
There we go. And then the other is Scott Glaze at Fort Wayne Metals, with our involvement in different kind of community initiatives. Scott's somebody that I kind of see consistently in all these different places, and I think he's someone that we can really look up to as far as like making a difference in the community. I always kind of think like maybe get a wristband that's what would Scott Glaze do, kind of wristband, because I think he's somebody that's just really has a lot of integrity and puts his money where his mouth is. Okay, good. There we go. Cut him off.
Well, thank you, Matt and Julia and Danny. This is a special group of people, a unique group. But then again, there's a common thread to business ownership. They talked about autonomy. They talked about this concept of creating something from scratch, which they all have. My youngest brother, Jerry, he early on mentioned to me, you need to let people make it their ball of clay. So I try to approach that in anything I'm involved with. And the Downtown Improvement District business, whatever it may be, it really needs to be the other person's ball of clay, if you will. And I think that's what's so cool about business and entrepreneurship. You can create on your own, but take the responsibility for the outcome. And I think we've got a situation here to where our ecosystem downtown is all about that. It's all about this, all these folks that are doing things on their own, whether they come here to live, whether they come here to work. And I think Matt mentioned every one of his employees is a flight risk. And we talk about the regional partnership and some of these other entities. Talent attraction and retention is so critical to our community and to our future. It's the youngest of the youngest there with Olivia. Those are the we want to keep all these people here enjoying downtown Fort Wayne. Now, I didn't know if we had any other questions that came up. Oh, they're to the left? Okay. We'll go ahead and put those out to answer. Where did your company name come from? So that was from Beth Walker, and that was for all three panelists.
You mentioned like that Dylan quote. I then quickly became obsessed with Bob Dylan and spent like the later part of the 90s just following him on tour. Saw 45 shows. My buddies and I like Deadheads, you know, but with better music. And so his guitar player, so not Bob, we loved Bob, but then we loved his guitar player too. And when his guitar player left the band at the end of 1999, he sold 4 instruments on eBay to finance a studio he was opening in Nashville. And it was a pedal steel guitar, a dobro, a fiddle, and then an acoustic guitar. And I thought, well, I could hack away at the acoustic guitar. And so I won it on an eBay auction. Had to create an eBay account to do it. This is early days. And then thought, oh, what a cool, I got the guitar, and I thought, well, that'll be really cool to tell my kids about someday. And they ended up calling and saying, did you say you were a graphic designer? Because we're going to open this studio in Nashville, and we're going to need a logo and a website. And I like hyperventilated for a couple hours, and then we became good friends. And actually, to bring this full circle, the musician I bought the guitar from, his son is the one that's playing Monday night at OLG. And I will hyperventilate again.
Prana is a Sanskrit word, and just like if you were learning Oriental medicine, you'd have to learn some new words. With yoga, we learn Sanskrit. And so prana means a lot of things, but it means breath, first of all. And I suffered from asthma growing up, so the breath has always been an important concept in wellness for me. Plus, being a yoga therapist and working with people with cancer, cancer thrives in an anaerobic environment, so we can literally blast the cancer cells with our breath. And then the breath is something we all share in common. So if I come in and I'm like, you know, panting or hyperventilating, then you're going to be like, what's wrong? And you're going to get that as well. But if I'm breathing deeply, then we can like influence each other just through our breath, because it's something that we all share. So it had the community aspect and it had the wellness aspect, and so that's where it came from.
And Jai juice, well, I like the alliteration first, and I wanted to have juice somewhere in the title so people knew like what it was. And then Jai is also a Sanskrit word, since the business is kind of not part of Prana Yoga, but Danny owns both. And Jai means to celebrate. And so you're thinking with juice, you're helping your cells. So you're celebrating your cells and your life. So it's kind of also fun because we do like a juice flight, like you're in a bar. And so if you're doing a toast, you'd be like, Jai, like, celebrate. So it's kind of like goes along with the theme of our juice bar. But I liked the name Jai Juice because it's short and sweet, and you know, we want people to be happy about being healthy. So that's kind of where the celebration part comes in.
Are you interested in reducing waste recycling as part of your business model? Have you encountered obstacles to this goal so far, and what would help?
Yes, like I was saying about the waste of the juices, we've been trying really hard to not waste any. And of course, if there's an expired juice, I will drink it, and my employees will drink it, but we can't sell it past the expiration date. And also, with juicing, you go through a lot of pulp. So we have the juice, which we sell, and then we have the pulp, which is left over. And so we have been giving that to some farmers who can use it like during their farming months for fertilizer, which is really nice because we don't have to throw it away, because it always feels it's a little disheartening to be throwing away all this great stuff. that can't go into the juices. So we do that, and then sometimes, people who have animals can feed it to their animals or do stuff with that. You can also get creative and use it for cooking, but we don't do any cooking at the juice bar, so if people want to pick it up, we can save it for them, as long as they come and get it in a timely fashion. But that's been a huge part of our stuff. And then we recycle like all of our cardboard, and we recycle our bottles. We have our bottles are glass, so if you bring back your bottle after you buy a juice, you get 50 cents off per bottle per purchase, because that's a nice way to reuse it, so you aren't throwing it away. If you're going to be coming back, it's nice for us to not have to spend that cost on buying another bottle, and it's nice for you because you get a discount. So that's kind of how we're recycling and reusing our stuff.
Yeah, this is something I always want to do more and more. When we design the studios, we design them as eco studios, so we were really conscious about the paint that we used, and we used bamboo flooring. And then in our boutique, a pair of yoga pants that are made from recycled plastic bottles. So we try to pick consumers that are doing really interesting things, and that have conscious consumerism as well, with more eco and green friendly. Also, we used to sell bottled water because it was like a pretty good markup and everything. Everybody would buy one afterwards, but we realized about how much waste we were putting in with each yoga class, and so we got rid of the bottled water and we switched to an RO, and we just fill up pitchers now. So it's little things like that that you can do every day. It's like, but there's always more that we can do.
Yeah, obviously as a design and marketing firm, we use a lot of paper, and we try to be cognizant of that. And when we go to presentations, we don't try to overproduce, and when we can, we share. But it was probably, well, I bet it was 5 years ago now that we really had kind of an internal initiative to really be more thoughtful about how we were recycling. I don't know how everybody is like at home, but once the city gave you that big recycling carton, like, it became so much easier, right, than just the little tubs. And I think we've kind of, you asked like what the challenges are. That was more challenging as a business to like get our version of that. And I think we finally have now. So we've got like quite a lot of recycling that happens out back. And when if we compare that to several years ago when we just had the trash dumpster, it's like, we fill like 4 or 5 of those things every cycle, which is pretty great.
How do you separate your work life and personal life as entrepreneurs, or does it all bleed together? That's for all three.
Sure. It definitely all bleeds together. Yeah, you have to have good boundaries about that. I think the most important thing is just shutting off the computer, which I'm not always good at, and looking my kids in the eyes and looking my husband in the eyes and spending time with them just like I would the student, like the listening that I talked about earlier. It becomes really important there. Because it is my lifestyle that drew me. It was the passion that ignited the business, and so it's like that's what I want to talk about, that's what I want to do, and there's always these ideas flowing, and I want to like put them down on paper as soon as they happen, and so it's not always the ideal time. So in a way it's great because I have so much enthusiasm for what I do. Like, there's no separation between work and play, it's all play, but then there's the part that just needs to shut off and rest and not think about the business for a while, which is challenging.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't really have any differentiation at all. But I think, so even, and that's like, Julia was talking about like building the team, and I know that Danny, her team of instructors, like it's, like the only friends I have are the people that I work with. It's true. Some of them are here.
Yeah, I would say there's really not much separation. But I have found myself leaving my phone at home a lot more than I used to, so maybe there's something with that. But like just turning off the computer, don't look at your cell phone, like just give your, like say like whatever happens at 9 o'clock, I'm not looking at anything else. I'm doing whatever I want to do. Or, I'm going to go to dinner with my friend and I'm not bringing my phone in. Like, I don't care what happens. It's only an hour. So if because it is important to take a break and do things for yourself. So I think it's good to know, like, I'm going to be working a lot. It's going to become part of my life, and hopefully it's something you enjoy, so that way it is fun and you do have that passion for it and you make your friends and, you know, you enjoy going to work, but then taking that time for yourself to just leave it behind and not think about it, and then, you know, you pick up tomorrow and you'll start again. So yeah, there's not much separation unless you make a separation. At least for me, like, I feel like I'm good at saying, no, I'm not looking at my phone. If you text me, it's too bad. I'll get to you tomorrow or something. But yeah, you just have to be strong. Take some time for yourself.
We have one more question. What percentage of your sales come from Prana Yoga customers? I think we know who that question's for.
Oh, me.
Julia.
I don't know the exact percentage, but I was considering, I actually considered a lot of the teachers and the staff who work at Prana Yoga and in the building when I was coming up with my prices, because I wanted to give them all a discount. So in order to offer these discounts, I was like, well, I have to make sure I can afford it and that it works out. But we do have a lot of people who come, obviously, from the yoga studio because it's right next door, and it's like-minded business. Like, people are going to yoga for health, and the juice is for health. But we also have a lot of people who just come in off the street, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were here. You're really close to my work, or I can swing by on my way downtown to do this. So it's actually been really surprising how many people who aren't involved with Prana Yoga who come in. And then, of course, they can see the studio, so then they're like, oh, what's over there? I'm like, oh, it's a yoga studio. You want to take a class? Here's a free pass. So, like, it's nice to be able to cross-promote both of the businesses. Or then, like, even we have Kara Anderson's hair design upstairs, and, you know, she's got some business cards. So a lot of people who come to her will come down for a juice or a tea or coffee, and so I can send them upstairs. Like, if they're like, oh, I like your hair. Where did you get it done? Well, I would go upstairs. Like, it's kind of nice to have different businesses in the building, and a lot of people are curious about the building itself because it's so beautiful, and so they're like, what else is around here? And so we can tell them, you know, there's these people doing publishing upstairs, there's one like a guitars upstairs, Prana Yoga, there's a photography studio next door, so there's a whole bunch of opportunities to talk about the building itself.
I would say about a quarter of our clients are Prana members too. I mentioned earlier that, like, our clients, like, want to meet at OLG, and one reason is because the building is so beautiful, but the other is that it's so easy to park there, and I think that we feel like a downtown agency, but we don't have the perceived issues with parking downtown, and I think the same is very true for Jai too. So there's a lot of parking, and it's easy in, easy out, so don't be intimidated by that kind of thing.
Say like 25% of our Prana Yoga clients are members. We're trying to get that number up. Yeah. Make that commitment.
Well, that about wraps it up. I think it was very interesting to hear these stories about these entrepreneurs and downtown Fort Wayne business owners. Let's give them a round of applause. Well, we hope you can join us here in future months. We'll continue to do this same Wednesday of every month. You'll get notified. Our next two topics, we really want to look into the aspect of how do you make a sustainable business with photography and art. So we're talking to a couple photographers and artists downtown. That's an area where a lot of people want to be in that type of business. It's trying to be sustainable, and those types of businesses can be a challenge. So I think learning from those that have been able to do it successfully over the years is really a good way to approach that. Also, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding type of a methodology that some downtown businesses have used. So that'll be a topic of one of our other presentations. And please tell your friends, let folks know. Please, when you get the MailChimp that comes out, invite others to come and learn. I think I imagine everybody had a pretty enjoyable experience here. I know I sure did. So once again, thank you for your time.